If you are working in industry, you have probably heard about RTD sensors and thermocouples. But when should you use RTD and when should you use a thermocouple? Let's understand in this video. So, in the previous module, we have learned about instrument signals and communication systems like 420 mA and Modbus. Now, we will start learning about actual industrial measurements, parameters by parameters. And we will begin with the most common industrial measurement, and that is temperature. Almost every industry measures temperature. You will find temperature sensors in industries like boilers, furnaces, pipelines, cold storage, clean rooms, food processing plants, and many more. So, as an application sales engineer or if you are a customer, then understand temperature measurement is extremely important. Let's understand this with a few simple examples. In a boiler, water must reach a certain temperature to produce a steam. If temperature becomes too high, it may damage the system. If temperature is too low, then steam production will not be efficient. So, temperature must be measured continuously. Now let's take one another example. If food processing, temperature control ensures food safety. If temperature is not controlled properly, then bacteria can grow. So food factories monitor temperature at many points. Even cold storage facilities must maintain the temperature between 2 degrees Celsius to 8 degrees Celsius. If temperature increases even for a short time, medicines or food products may get spoiled. And that is why temperature monitoring is very critical. To measure temperature, we use temperature sensors. A temperature sensor is a device that converts temperature into an electrical signal. There are three common types of temperature sensors used in industry. First is RTD sensor, second is thermocouples, and third is NTC or PTC sensors. Now let's understand them one by one. RTD stands for resistance temperature detector. The most common RTD used in industry is PT100. PT100 means that the sensor has 100 ohms resistance at 0 degrees Celsius. As temperature increases, the resistance also increases. RTD sensors are known for high accuracy and stability. That is why RTDs are widely used in pharmaceutical industries, food industries, HVAC systems, and clean rooms. Typical temperature range of RTD sensor is around -200 degrees Celsius to 600 degrees Celsius. Thermocouple are another type of temperature sensor. They work based on a principle called the Seebeck effect. When two different metals are joined and heated, they generate a small voltage. This voltage changes with a temperature. Thermocouples can measure very high temperatures. Typically, applications are furnaces, steel plants, glass industries, and many more. Some thermocouples can measure temperature up to 1200 degrees Celsius or beyond that also. So, the main difference is RTD is for high accuracy and thermocouple is for high temperature capability. Now, another category of temperature sensor is thermistors. This includes NTC sensors and PTC sensors. NTC means negative temperature coefficient. This means resistance decreases as the temperature increases. NTC sensors are commonly used in industries like air conditioning systems, electronics, small appliances, HVAC industry. They are usually used for small temperature ranges like 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. Sensors usually produce very small electrical signals. For example, RTD produces resistance change and thermocouple produces millivolt signals. These signals cannot travel long distance very easily, so we use a temperature transmitter. Now, the temperature transmitter converts the sensor signal into a standard industrial signals. Usually, we have understand before that 4 to 20 milliampere or Modbus communications. This allow the temperature value to be transmitted to the control panels or PLC systems. Sometimes industry only want to display the temperature. For example, in a control panel, in such cases we use temperature indicators. These indicators receive signals from sensors or transmitters and display the temperature value on the digital screen. So, normal human being can see that temperature. You will often see that temperature indicators in boiler control panels, oven control system, industrial machines, and many more. Indicators generally have two varieties: digital indicators and analog indicators. Sometimes the system must not only measure temperature but also control it. This is where temperature controllers are used. A temperature controller compares the measured temperature with the desired value. If the temperature goes above or below the set point, then the controller activates the device. For example, turn on a heater or turn off a heater or activate cooling and starts the AC. There are two common types of controllers. First one is very basic on-off controller and second is PID controllers. PID controllers provide more precise temperature controlling. Now, as a purchase manager or application engineer or as a customer, one of your most important responsibility is selecting the correct sensor. Whenever a customer asks for a temperature sensor, you must ask these few basic questions. Where will the sensor be installed? Inside a pipe, inside a tank, in the air, on a surface? Because each application changes the mounting type of the sensor. Now, second question is, what is the temperature range? For example, you can consider 0 to 100 degrees Celsius or 0 to 400 degrees Celsius or up to 1200 degrees Celsius. Third is, what is the probe length required? Fourth is, what type of mounting connection is needed? For example, threaded connection, flange connection, compression fitting. These questions help you to select the correct sensor. Temperature sensors usually come with probes. The probe is the metal rod that goes into the process. Probe design depends on the application. For example, short probes for air measurement, long probes for tanks, flexible probes for pipelines. The material of the probe is also very important. Common materials are SS, Inconel, ceramic protection tube type, generally used where beyond 1200 degrees Celsius temperature you want to measure. Now, let's take a real example. A customer says, I want to measure temperature inside a water tank. You should ask what temperature range that you want to measure. What the probe length is required. Is the tank is pressurized? Based on this information, you may suggest RTD PT100 sensor with 300 mm stainless steel probe with threaded mounting. This is how application-based instrumentation selection works. In this module, we have learned what temperature measurement is, types of temperature sensors like RTD sensors and thermocouples. We also learned about temperature transmitters, temperature indicators, temperature controllers, basic sensor selection principles. So, temperature measurement is one of the most common application in every industry. So, every application sales engineer must clearly understand this concept. In the next module, we will learn about humidity and dew point measurement system, which are very important in the industries like pharma and HVAC. So, thank you so much for watching this video. See you all in my next video.